So you know what I used to think? I used to think that I wasn't very good at keeping up with my home. I would see all of these moms who had the calmest homes, tidiest kitchens, and their life just seemed super easy. And I just honestly remember feeling like this whole mom thing, like they were better at it than me. Meanwhile, I was constantly rushing, constantly running, and I was just trying to keep up with everything that had to get done in a day. And I'd walk into my kitchen and immediately see dishes, then I'd notice laundry, then the toys on the floor, then I would walk up the stairs and see that there was toys there that need to go up. It felt like every room I walked into was reminding me of something I was forgetting. And honestly, I don't think I was actually exhausted from all the cleaning. I was exhausted from the emotional weight of everything that still needed to be done. And if you're a mom, maybe you are going through the same thing and you completely understand, but I would wake up and feel like I was already behind. You spend the whole day trying to catch up, and by bedtime you still feel like you didn't do enough. You're gonna get hurt! What about if you take Stitch? You just fell. I know what you. For the longest time, I thought I needed more motivation, maybe more discipline, and another planner, another routine, but none of those fixed the way that I actually felt. Because the problem wasn't that I didn't know how to clean. The problem is that my nervous system was never feeling safe enough to actually rest. I was living in chronic stress. I was living in survival mode, and I didn't even know it. Okay. Whoa. Good. No, just this one. Go give it to Chloe, okay? Then one afternoon, I remember something actually clicked for me. I realized I wasn't overwhelmed because I had too much to do. I was overwhelmed because my brain was carrying hundreds of tiny unfinished decisions all day long. I'm not sure about you, but you'll be standing there and you're like, wow, my brain just feels so fuzzy. Why can't I think of what I actually need to do today? And that's what changed everything. Of course, it wasn't changed overnight, not because it didn't suddenly get easier, but because I started making a few really small changes that made my home work with my brain instead of against it. So for the rest of this video, I want to show you the habits that actually helped me quietly go from surviving my home to actually enjoying it. Some of these are going to be completely free. Some of these are going to be things that I didn't even know that would matter or make a difference. And a few of them just completely changed the atmosphere of my home. But every single one of them has one thing in common. They made my home ask less of me. And before we get into the first one, I want to quickly mention something. Over the last few years, I've spent so much time testing little home system products and tiny changes that actually made motherhood feel calmer and my home just easier to manage. And I get asked all the time where I found everything, so I finally put it all together in one place. It took me a little bit of time, but I put it all in one place. And if you've ever felt like your home just keeps you stuck in survival mode, I've linked every little thing that actually helped me create a calmer, easier home. It's completely free and everything's organized in one place below if you want to take a look. Now let's start the first thing that completely changed the way that I look in my home. The first thing that helped my home feel calmer wasn't actually buying something. It was changing the way I looked at my house. And I started noticing something. Almost every time I felt stress, it wasn't because the routine itself was hard. It was because I had accidentally added 3 or 4 unnecessary steps to it. So one week I decided to do something a little different. Every time I felt one of those little moments of frustration throughout the day, I wrote it down. Not the big stressful moments, but the tiny ones, the moments that make you stop, turn around and sigh and just like, oh, why is this harder than it has to be? Like, what am I doing wrong? By the end of the week, I had tons of these little tiny notes of what was making my life harder and what was making it harder to run my household. Some of them actually made me laugh because I realized I was doing it for years. And like, I don't know why, but like I would do it every single day. And it was making my life harder, but I couldn't come up with a solution on how to make it better. So I would just constantly like keep doing it every single day. And it was like on repeat. And I knew it was coming. It was like almost like a dreadful thing. Like one of the examples is every time my daughter would go for a bath, we wouldn't have pajamas for her. Like, I would always forget her pajamas. I'd lift my daughter out of the tub, wrap her in a warm towel, and then I'd realize I forgot the pajamas. And so I'd leave the bathroom, walk down the hall, open drawers. Sometimes they'd still be in the laundry. Sometimes I'd call for my husband because I couldn't find them. And suddenly something that shouldn't have taken 30 seconds turned into minutes. And it was just the most stressful thing. And this happened every single night on repeat. But one night I remember thinking, why am I making this so much harder than it has to be? Like, I have to come up with a solution. What is the solution gonna be? Because usually, you keep the pajamas into the closet. My daughter's closet is upstairs and I'm constantly running around. So what is the solution? Like, what am I going to do? What I ended up doing was I moved one of the cabinets next to the bathroom, like right outside of the bathroom. I put a carpet, I made it pretty, I put the cabinet on top, and then I made sure to put the girls' pajamas in each door, so they had their own doors. And I put their diapers, I put underwear, anything that I was running for, I put it into that cabinet. So this way it was right outside of the bathroom. And that was it. It was such a tiny change, but the difference it made was so much bigger than I expected. And now bath time ends, I open one cabinet, grab the pajamas, and we're done. And the girls aren't standing there cold waiting for me. I'm not running through the house looking for clothes. I'm not stressed. And because I'm calmer, they get a calmer version of me too, which I love. So that one tiny change made me realize something. Maybe my home wasn't stressful. Maybe some of our systems were just not working for us. So I started asking myself these questions, like, what is slowing me down? I need to write more of the things that are slowing me down every single day, making my life harder, stressing me out, and giving me all of these feelings that I'm having. One of the things that I noticed was right before school, right before daycare, we would all be standing at the door. They would be fully dressed, but the last thing that we had was no socks. So I'd go to put on the shoes and then realize socks. I hate socks. I hate folding socks. I hate anything with socks. I just hate socks. Like, they are terrible. And so we would be running around the house trying to look for socks. Of course, it's mom's duty, right? Like, the girls could have done it. They could have been looking for their socks, but one is 2 and that would have taken forever. And then my oldest daughter, she is just so calm and loving life, and she's just like very easygoing. And so it would take forever. It would take forever. So I just go ahead and do it. So I wanted to come up with a solution on how I could help them find their socks and make it easier. So instead, I changed the system. I moved all of their socks into our shoe cabinet by the front door. Now when it's time to leave, the socks are already where they need to be. Even my 2-year-old knows exactly where to find hers. I'll say, okay, it's time for shoes and socks, and off she runs to get them herself. It sounds so simple, but that's exactly the point. I stopped keeping things where they looked nice and started keeping them where real life was actually happening. So what I started to do was everything started living where it made sense instead of where I thought it was supposed to be. Little by little, my house stopped fighting me, and honestly, that tiny mind shift changed everything. Now whenever something in our home frustrates me, I don't automatically blame myself anymore. I stop and ask, okay, why does this feel harder than it should? And because every time I've asked myself that question, I've ended up creating a better system. And I think that's one of the biggest differences I've noticed about moms whose homes feel calm and they aren't necessarily working harder. They've just built homes that quietly work with them instead of against them. Now let's get into habit number 2. So this was realizing that I didn't have to remember or do everything by myself. Remember when I told you in the beginning, I felt like other moms had it all figured out and I just didn't understand how they were so on top of things, and it drove me nuts. Like my daughter's homework, I just felt like I was always questioning when it was actually due, and I just felt like I wasn't on top of things. And instead of assuming and doing everything myself, I wanted to come up with a system of how could I figure this out. So what I did is I actually asked the moms that seemed to have it all together. I asked them what their secret was. Every time I met a mom whose home felt calm, whose kids always seemed to know what was going on, or who never looked like she was rushing, I'd ask, what are you doing differently? And one day I was having a play date with my daughter, and this mom, I'm telling you, she just always has it all together. I just feel like she is that perfect role model mom. And I remember asking her, what are you doing? Like, how do you stay on top of it? And I remember her telling me, like, she laughed and she said, oh my gosh, it's not me. Like, she, which I loved. She was like, it's so not me. It's actually my calendar. And I'm like, what? Like, I wanted to see this calendar so bad. So I remember her showing me that she put in all of the dates that homework was due at the beginning of the year. So at the beginning of the year, the teachers always let the parents know, like, okay, on every second Friday, we're gonna have French word exams, and then like the following week we're gonna have a math exam. And so instead of like manually putting this onto a calendar onto her wall, she had this digital calendar. And so I remember seeing this and being like, telling my husband, oh my gosh, I want this, because not only did it go ahead and like tell her when homework was due, and I'd have like this awesome pop-up like the day that the homework was due and everything, so you could put it into the backpack. It also would say a countdown. Like, so when you would look at the calendar, it had a countdown on the top of, like, let's say French homework is due in 12 days, like math homework is due in 2 days. I fell in love when I saw that, because I needed to put it in once and forget it. And so I told my husband about this, and he surprised me on Christmas, and he got it for me, and it has been the best thing that has helped me feel so much calmer. And I knew this thing was going to make a big difference, but I didn't realize how much of a difference it was going to make. I thought it was going to organize our calendar. What it actually organized was my mind. And like suddenly I wasn't carrying every school event, every homework assignment, every daycare reminder, every appointment, and every little detail around in my head all day long. And not only that, my daughter checks it too. She'll check the countdown herself because she likes knowing how many days she has left. And it stopped being my job to remember everything for everyone. And I think that's what surprised me the most, is like, it didn't just make our family more organized, it made me feel lighter. Now, something like a skylight is totally out of your budget. So many things that you can do that is very similar. The whole point isn't the actual calendar itself. It's getting everything out of your head and stop asking yourself to carry everyone's life, and let your home carry some of the weight with you. So now let's get into habit 3. I started working with tomorrow instead of against it. So the first thing that completely changed the way my brain felt had nothing to do with working harder. It was realizing that tomorrow starts long before you wake up. So instead of waking up and feeling like you're already behind, this is what's going to help, or what helped me just feel a lot calmer. And the trick is for years, I used to wake up already feeling behind, open my eyes and be like, oh my gosh, I have to get the laundry started before I forget, because I'm going to start doing other things and I'm going to forget the laundry. I have to get it done. And then what would happen is I would forget, because I'd have so many tiny little tabs open that I would completely forget to do the laundry. So I had to figure out a solution for it. Then one day I noticed onto my washing machine, it had this little delay button. I never knew that I was even there. I never even looked at it or realized I was there. But one night I filled up my washing machine. I put all my clothes into it. I put the detergent, I closed it. I put the delay on for the next morning for 7 a.m. And I hoped that it would work, because I never used it before. And I woke up the next morning, got my girls ready for school, got them ready for daycare. And when I got back from dropping off my little girl from daycare, the washing machine was going, and it felt amazing. It might sound so simple to you, but it changed how my mornings went and how they felt. I had spent years expecting my future self to remember everything, to have the energy, to have the motivation, to somehow just feel like doing it later. But later usually came with a tired mom, hungry kids, dinner to make, and 100 other things needing my attention. So instead of relying on my future self, I started helping her. Now I ask myself all the time, what can I do today that tomorrow me is going to be so thankful for? So now we're getting into habit number 4, and this is one of my favorites, but I stopped giving my eyes so much to do during the day. And so the fourth thing I changed actually has nothing to do with becoming a better cleaner. It started with one question. I have been cleaning all day long. I am exhausted. My house is completely cleaned, but why do I still feel overwhelmed? A lot of times whenever I would clean my house, I would still feel overwhelmed by the end of the day, and I couldn't figure out or pinpoint what it actually was. My chest was getting stiff it was getting hard. I felt like I couldn't breathe and I was just overwhelmed and I felt like I was going to explode, honestly. And I was like, okay, well, I've cleaned everything. What more can I do? And I would have this panic inside of me. Even if the room was technically clean, it still felt mentally busy. So instead of trying to organize more things, I started asking myself, does this actually need to be out? Does it need to be right here? Do I need it? Does it make me happy? And why do I even have this thing? Like, have I used it in the last month? If not, if I haven't used it in the last month, if my kids haven't used it in the last month, it's time to go, because what it is doing is it's taking space and it's mentally loud for me. We used to have toys everywhere. Every basket was overflowing, every shelf was full, and honestly, my girls still ended up playing with the same few toys every single day. So I started decluttering. And man, did this feel good. Not because I wanted a picture perfect house, but just because I wanted our home to feel peaceful. Now we keep just a small selection of toys downstairs. I do not keep a lot of toys downstairs. I think I have just like little people collection. I have just like little things. I think in total like 3 different types of toys. Sometimes I'll pull out the blocks, but really I keep everything upstairs into the room. And even in the room, it's very minimal. It's their Barbies, it's the horses that they play with, and they don't have like very much things. If my oldest daughter, she likes to actually hold on to her toys, which is okay. She's 10 years old, so she has a say if things go to the secondhand store. You know, she has a say if she wants to keep something, and I don't want to be the type of parent that, like, you know, traumatizes her and takes away all of her things. So what we've done is actually we got her a bed, which I'll get into maybe a different video, but we got a solution for that. But for everything else, for my youngest too, like, she's 2 years old, she doesn't even know what toys that she has. So what we do is we have started to declutter her toys, and it has been the biggest thing, the biggest help. I constantly go through my own things because I am always purchasing, but I think the biggest change actually happened to me. When I walked into the living room, my brain finally had somewhere to rest, and I didn't have just like a whole bunch of random toys shoved into the corner that got played with every here and there. I had a place for my rocking chair. I was able to go get a rocking chair, which I have been wanting, but that corner was like full of little toys that weren't being used. And so now, instead of like a corner full of toys that weren't being used daily, we have a rocking chair, and this rocking chair is sat on daily by everybody, every member in the family, and it's very loved. We read books onto this thing, and it's just like one of the best decisions ever. And like, something else that happened was I wasn't constantly scanning the room thinking about what needed to be picked up next. It simply felt lighter. Looking back now, I don't think any of these little changes were really about pajamas or socks or calendars. They were about taking little pieces of mental weight off of my shoulders. And the funny thing is that none of them completely changed my life on their own, but together they completely changed how our home feels. I think a lot of us believe we need one big solution, a fresh start, more motivation, more discipline, but I found it's usually the opposite. It's the tiny little frustrations we remove every day that quietly create a calmer home. So if you're feeling overwhelmed lately, don't try to change everything this week. Just look for one thing in your home that makes you stop, turn around, or sigh just a little bit and ask yourself, why is this harder than it needs to be? Write it down. You might be surprised how much lighter your day feels after fixing just one little thing. And honestly, that's exactly how this channel started, just me writing down all those tiny little frustration moments and slowly figuring out better ways to do them. I still have pages left on that list, which means we have a lot more to talk about. So if you've ever felt like you are stuck in fight or flight, I have put everything in my Calm Home collection. It's completely free. I just put everything that I've collected throughout the years, things that I've bought, things that have helped me, all into that collection, and it will be linked in the comment section down below for you. It's everything I actually use and I actually love that has helped make our home feel calmer, easier, and a little less overwhelming, and I've linked it all below. If you guys want to have a little look, and I'll see you guys in the next. Bye guys.